Hello, we're Wise Copilot. We're up and running finally. So anyway, so I didn't see that I was mute. Thank you for letting me know. We're here talking about everything you need to know about downsizing your real estate, options on how to declutter, how to stage, sell, keep your property as an investment property, how to turn it into a Airbnb as an investment, how to downsize, just across the board, all kinds of different things. So when you're dealing with your mom or your dad or yourself, and you're looking at that stage where it's time to downsize, it can be so overwhelming. And I've got a huge panel of experts here tonight. So first of all, I'm going to start just kind of going through my list of introducing you. So I'll let you guys tell who you are, what your company does, and what you bring to the table here. So we're going to start with Darren Finney. Where's Darren? I don't see you right now.
I'm right here.
Okay, go ahead, Darren. Tell us about who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks. I'm Darren Finney. I spent most of my life in the Marine Corps, actually. And then after I got out of the Marine Corps, came back here to Central Indiana, and I started investing in real estate then. So my company, 317 Home Buyers, what we do, especially in this space, is like, if there's ever been a time when you've needed to move mom into a facility and you couldn't because the house wasn't, they needed the money from the house, but it wasn't a house that was going to sell on the MLS for one reason or another. I mean, I'm sure the brokers that are on here can all attest to having seen houses like that. That's kind of where we come in. We know that the family is under a lot of stress, and like the most important thing is to get that money so that they can get mom either into care or pay for the the subsequent months worth of care. And they're under a lot of stress for that, and usually it's the stuff that's in the house or it's the condition of the house. And we can help with the stuff, whether it's using a company like Jim's to help maybe auction some of that stuff, or if we need to take care of the stuff, we can. We usually try to stay away from the conversation of what we're going to do with the stuff afterwards. But I mean, again, the brokers that are on here, they know that the houses that are like that, where the people that are living there are aggressive collectors, because mom's lived there for 50 years and she never sells anything. And they think a lot of it is worth stuff or worth money that it's not. So we have to try to shy away from that conversation, just tell them that we're going to take care of it. And just a lot of times it's the kids that we're dealing with and they're happy with that. And then we just get the house bought for them so that they have that cash, they can pay for mom's care, and everybody moves on. That's kind of
you have a special designation or a special thing with something about moms. Could you explain that?
Yep. So we actually are affiliated with a company called Mom's House, and they work with facilities across the nation as far as like making sure they train us to make sure that we understand how to deal with the families and with the whether it's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whatnot. And so they train us on that. They are affiliated and connected with many different facilities across the nation. So they do referrals to other companies as well. And yeah, I went to that training earlier this year. Or actually not earlier this year. Sorry, this is not 2020 anymore. So it was last year.
So Trish, would you like to introduce yourself? Trish Hodges, tell us about AMP and who you are and what you do.
My name is Trish. I'm with AMP, which is short for Association Management Plus. Basically, it's a long fancy name for we're a property manager. So I specialize in long-term rentals. You'll hear from Tamara in a few, but I do the long-term rental side of things. So I primarily help with folks that are looking to still make some money off of a home. And then we help take care of all of the property management, from leasing it, marking it, the photos, all of that, getting it on the market, and then finding a suitable tenant. So doing the background checks, doing everything that needs to occur to get a good quality tenant, getting them in, getting them to pay their rent, and then paying the owner every month. So we handle all of the maintenance, everything for a small little fee, and the owners get a check by the 15th of the month. So that's usually the easiest way to explain it.
All right, very good. Jack Barlow with AmRamp. Where's Jack? I thought I was talking here. There he is.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. My name is Jack Barlow with AmRamp of Indiana. My territory is basically from Bloomington north to the Michigan line, and basically to Illinois, and over into even parts of Ohio. We don't have a franchise in Ohio, so I can go pretty far into Ohio, but needless to say, I can pretty much cover anybody that's watching this. I can take care of. What we do is we provide accessibility. We're talking tonight about downsizing, maybe looking at a new house, going this place or that place. And one thing I want to take out of the equation is I can't get into the house. There's too many steps here. It's too high. Or if I'm in the house, I can't get into the tub. I can't get all of that. I want to take out of the equation. I want to help people so that if they love this house, everything's great, but they can't walk up the steps, we'll put a ramp in for them. If they're in the house and they love the house and they just can't get upstairs, we'll put a stair lift in for them. If they're in a wheelchair and they don't have any accessibility to the counters, we can show them how to take counter cabinets out so that you can roll underneath it and be able to use the counter space. I'm a certified aging in place specialist, so I can go through the home and show you what you can do to make it more livable, to make it safer, and to make it more enjoyable. So I guess the main thing is, don't worry about getting into the house, accessibility. That's something that we're here for. Pick out the house that you like or the area that you like, and we'll make it work for you.
Excellent. Dave Holder with assisted living locators, wherever Dave is. The screen has got so many people, I can't see everybody. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me. My name is Dave Holder. I'm the owner of Assisted Living Locators of North Indy. We are your local senior living advisor. We help families make that transition to independent assisted living or memory care. We just are not an internet referral source. We work with the families to understand all of their needs from location and cost, but care levels and long-term plans. And we stay with them throughout the process as their partner. It's a no-cost service to help them make the right fit and navigate all of their options for senior living. Thanks.
Excellent. So Kim Dolbeer, Caring Transitions, Indy North.
Hi, I'm Kim with Caring Transitions, and what we do downsizing, estate sales, moves. We take care of people's stuff when they can't or don't want to take care of it. And I have some of you have heard this before, but I have a personal connection that I had a husband that passed away a couple years ago, and I had to take care of all the estate. I had to take care of all the stuff myself, and it was overwhelming and it was traumatic. And after I went through it, I was like, no one's going to go through this again. And so that's my mission, to make sure no one has to go through that. We're here to help. We could take care of the stuff and just help get some relief on our clients' faces.
Very good. Tom Hedrick,
Yep. Good evening. Thanks for having me, Jim. I am in the mortgage business for the last 48 years. We do all variety of home financing, residential financing, purchase, refinance, all of that. But what I specialize in these days is the reverse mortgage. And clients come to me for reverse mortgages for basically two reasons. One, to borrow on the existing equity they have in their house, either to fix it up and maybe do a project with Jack, or they want to reorganize their finances. One of the partners have died. They've had income adjustments. They need to reorganize their finances. And some of it is sent to me by financial planners, and it's strictly a financial planning move to utilize the largest asset that most American families have, and that is the equity in their primary homes. Now, the other use that people come to me for reverse mortgage, and this is really becoming probably a much bigger use. They're using it to buy what may be their retirement home. And this takes form several different ways. One, you could sell your existing house, buy a house of equal value, make a 50% down payment, and bank the difference so you can generate additional income. The other case is you buy a much bigger house. You sell your existing house, take that equity, it becomes your down payment, and you could buy a house for twice the value. So it's a very interesting transaction. It takes realtors a little time to get their head wrapped around it, but it's a really, really good move. And what this does is a couple of things for the real estate community in the purchase side. If anyone has ever told you, well, I love the house, but I just can't afford it now that I'm retired, you have another tool to talk to them about, well, maybe you really can afford it. And it also may allow somebody looking at what may be their retirement home to buy not the modest home they think they can afford as a cash buyer, but they could actually buy a home for twice the value by using the reverse mortgage and their cash.
It's a great, we're going to get back on that one quite a bit because I'm a big fan of that particular program. So Todd Howard with Halo Senior Solutions. Todd, tell us who you are and what you guys do.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me tonight. So I'm the founder of Halo Senior Solutions, Halo Realty Group, and Halo Property Group. And all three of those companies work in conjunction to help stressed out parents and grandparents manage the chaos of downsizing with a simple 3-step plan so that they can move forward without fearing the unknown. And so the Halo Senior Solutions Group acts as a concierge to oversee every aspect of the move. Each client is given a total custom plan that's created specifically for them. They're assigned one of our Halo certified angels to oversee it, whether it's 2 days or 2 years. It's engaged with a one-time flat fee up front. And we ask them just use our experience so they don't, make mistakes. The Realty Group acts as a full-service realty group. Berkshire Hathaway owns our license. Our entire team are certified senior real estate specialists. And then finally, the Property Group includes a full construction crew as well as an inspector. And we use those in conjunction if we need to make home improvements prior to going to market, if we've got an inspection process, or if you choose one of our creative solutions, which sometimes includes us buying the house, we'll use the construction company for that. But the other couple of creative solutions we have are we can buy it and lease it back, as well as offer short-term bridge loans and a couple of others. But all of the companies and all the solutions are geared towards just helping families get from one house to the next.
Well, very good. Jane Gauchi. Hi, Jane. Who are you and what do you do?
Jane, you're muted.
You're muted, Jane.
Yep.
You want me muted most of the time. I'm a real estate agent. I have a personal desire to help seniors, and I think especially at my age, I'm just thrilled to be credible because I'm almost a senior citizen. We may even be, huh, Jim?
Yeah.
Anyway, I have experience in the Air B&B. I own them myself. I am incredibly passionate about seeing the big projects. Just went through a hoarding experience with a client. I'm kind of, I seek out Jim or any of you experts on the panel. I love being the resource to bring to my clients. So I just love knowing that there's a tremendous amount of options. I've had experience helping people find nursing homes in the past, et cetera. So I'm really glad to be involved here because I believe that turning people on to experts is really the best way to go. So.
Well, thank you, Jane. And by the way, all of our realtors here today all have the SRES degree or designation from NAR, which is Senior Real Estate Expert or Specialist or whatever. So real estate specialist. Luann Albrecht, I know you're up here somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Luanna Albrecht with Remax Ability Plus, and I have lots of personal stories as far as with parents. Probably in about a 3-year span, I moved both my father and my mother and stepfather out of their larger homes, and it was quite a bit of work. And I wish I would have, this was quite a few years ago, so I wish I would have had or known about all these resources, because I was fortunate to have sisters who helped, but it was very eye-opening to me about all of these stuff and what do you do with it and how do you stay organized. And when you're part of the family, I think there's that emotional component of you're trying to help your parents and yet get it done. And so I see that a lot with my clients and have such a compassion for that, because I just remember what it was like. And through that process, with my mother's side, we ended up actually leasing her home out because she wasn't ready to leave it, basically, but had to. And so that worked out really well. We leased it out. She she did a bridge loan. We moved her into the new home, and then she could adjust to that. And then actually the tenant ended up purchasing it, which was such a huge blessing. But the work involved in all of that, I mean, we're talking probably 50, 60 years of items and blended families. And so then when with my father, kind of the same thing, he ended up doing a reverse mortgage, which gave him funds then to kind of figure out his next phase in life. And so all of these products really, to me, can be incorporated depending, to tailor to the client. And so I think I did not even, we didn't even know about programs like Caring Transitions, which I think is just amazing. And I referred them. And I think having like a one-stop shop is so crucial for families, the kids of the families, trying to figure out where do you go next and how does this work? And so I'm just grateful we have all of you to help in the process, because I think it takes us all, honestly.
Well, thank you. Kathy Epps, another SRES.
Another, yeah. Hi, guys. Nice to be here. I am with Remax Ability Plus as well, and I pretty much do the traditional buying and or listing and selling homes. I've kind of a little of experience, not as much as some of the things that I hear now, but my personal experience was from 24 years ago when we had to deal with my mom, and she was, after a hospital stay, had to go to a Hooks rehabilitation place. And then it was like, what to do after that? And there were no resources or nothing to really choose from. I know that was a while back, but we were kind of not, we didn't know what to do. So we ended up going into an assisted living facility, and then that was a disaster. And then ended up taking in at home 24-hour care for her. She could afford it, which was great. But one of the things that I wanted to know more about was what I'm hearing all of this information here from everybody is that the resources today are so much more, there's so many more things. And I've used Caring Transitions in the traditional real estate downsizing situations. I haven't had experience with assisted living or nursing homes or anything, but I'm really interested in finding out all of the information from everybody in this program, and look forward to partnering with you to get that accomplished. My office light goes off.
You need to move more. Yeah.
I know, I need to move a little.
After dark.
Denise Wilson.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am also a real estate broker, and I also have a connection to helping people through these types of scenarios because of personal experience. Mine was with my grandparents. They moved here from New York in a more immediate situation, and we had to sell their home in New York. So we had to do a lot of things long distance, and then we had to get them situated here with assisted living and then long-term care in the home. And so through that whole journey, it was a real education, and I realized how little people know about their options. So I am a real estate broker. Usually people contact me either well in advance of needing my help because they're trying to figure out what their parents' options are with downsizing or, right sizing. And then sometimes it's more immediate, like, hey, my dad had a heart attack and they're moving into assisted living immediately. What can we do? We're panicked. So I feel like my role is really that of a consultant to give them a lot of options. That's why I like being connected to all of you wonderful people. So I know what options are out there for people, because I find that most people have no idea. A lot of families don't have these conversations early enough. So I'm happy to be a resource. And then obviously, like this year alone, I've helped two people do a reverse mortgage purchase, Tom. So I have some experience with that. And they didn't know that was an option. So I was really happy to be able to bring that. And I only was introduced to it through Jim. I helped someone else do a long distance sale where the parents, couldn't come back home to pack up and say goodbye. So that was dealing with lots of family members and coordinating a lot of things for people. So I'm glad to be here and learn about all the ways that you guys can help families.
Excellent. Matt.
Well, thank you. My name is Matt Mattich. I'm with True Blue House Care. And what True Blue does and what my mission is really is to provide a steady source of skilled labor for home repairs. So some of our best projects or best customers have been people that are getting ready to move or people who have just moved into a new house. What we offer is peace of mind. So whether it's background checked employees or the fact that we're a licensed general contractor, we do 12 months, same as cash. Some of the people who are selling their homes like that program, allows them to take advantage of free money for a little bit so they can do some of the things that they would want to do to sell their house. And essentially what it is that it's labor at scale that stands behind our work before and after people sell their home. So
you even do like ongoing maintenance for people, don't you? Or like, basic maintenance, or
you can do that as well. Maintenance and repair, anything that you would need, a skilled labor for.
Okay, very good. Tamara Doolin. Hello, Tamara.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
There we go.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Tamara Doolin. I'm with White Truck Getaways. I currently manage 16 Air B&B properties. I'm sorry, or I should call them short-term rental properties. We use more than just Air B&B to promote those properties, if you will. So I think Airbnb is just kind of the catch-all phrase for short-term rentals, if you will. But I pretty much manage everything for the owner. I mean, sometimes we get, an empty house where they want it furnished and they want to do the short-term rental. So I would arrange the furnishings, the supplies, the cleaning, the maintenance, guest relations. So I'm the one that would respond if, the fire alarm goes off while they're cooking dinner or, something like that. So I'm pretty much the one who maintains all that communication with the guest and then with the owner as well. So our goal is to manage the reviews, and obviously the better the reviews, the more bookings we're going to get, increase the bookings so that somebody can, make money doing the short-term rental. So most of our rentals are in downtown Indianapolis, the north side of Indianapolis, and then in Westfield.
While I've got you, I'm just going to stay on you for 1 second and go with that, because I don't know that a lot of people would have considered this as an option for like an aging parent that was getting ready to, maybe they were moving into assisted living, maybe they were downsizing, to be able to turn, their home into a short-term rental as an income source. Could you explain a little bit about what kind of income potential could be in this for people, or, how that would work? I know that Jane will probably weigh in on this as well.
Yeah, she's got both sides of it as well. Well, I would say that it's definitely an option. Typically, the best way to look at it is probably the location. We know that like 75% of all Airbnb bookings are in downtown Indianapolis. So downtown Indianapolis seems to be like a hotbed. But I'm also, I also manage 8, 9, 10 properties in Westfield, so near Grand Park. So that has a seasonality to it too. As far as booking the tournaments and that type of thing, we host a lot of families that are there for athletic tournaments. So, I'd say that the easiest way to say it is, we choose like a price per night, and then based on bookings, we'll increase that. It's amazing the number of people that want to rent a short-term rental as opposed to getting a hotel room. I hear from a lot of people that like to have just that privacy of a home. They want to have their own kitchen. And it's more economical, really. So we've had good success with it.
From an income stream, is that a pretty, I mean, how does it compare to a long-term rental on that? Maybe, yeah, Jane, you want to jump in on this?
Well, the properties that I'm renting right now, and I'm small compared to Tamara, so I don't have that huge cross section, but I'm doubling my revenue from when I was renting them, with a year's rental. I also love the idea that the property is taken care of, because it's extremely important to the platforms that you have good reviews, so that tenants that come in for 2 or 3 days at a time, they want a 5-star review. I want a 5-star review. So I'm in there trying to make sure that I'm covering their needs, and at the same time my property is improving as opposed to getting tired because of a tenant that is renting. The other thing that I think is kind of it, and it's just an idea that I've recently come up with, but I'm at the age where a lot of my friends are retiring, but they're not senior citizens needing an assisted living, but they all want to start going to Florida. And the idea, and we've batted this around with a couple of my friends, that maybe they could Airbnb their own homes here to help subsidize their Florida trips, since they're now, since they're retired and they can go away to Florida. Maybe it would afford them the luxury of maybe 1 or 2 more months in Florida if somebody like Tamara is managing the property for them up here. So I think that's kind of a new idea. Now mine is in Speedway, not the Mecca that you would expect in February to draw people, but because of COVID, I believe that more people are staying now than ever in these short-term rentals, because they don't have the maid service coming in and out and the lobbies, and they don't have that worry of exposure of COVID. And I have been booked solid since November.
Excellent. Trish, what are you seeing? One of the other options would be for someone to turn their home into a rental property. I think Luana was saying that that's what she did with her mom. We did something like that with my in-laws at one time. So, that would be another thing. How does it work with you, and what could you be doing to help that family?
So I actually am helping somebody in Speedway, to get sort of on the ball with us. And that's something that's just happened between the time I left the RE/MAX office and got home. So, but, one thing that I will say is it's great for, parents or seniors that are not ready to let go of the house, and for whatever reason. So, it helps that way, because it gives whatever relative is working with them at the time, it gives them an opportunity to sort of take a breath. And I know it's tough. I have a 92-year-old aunt who has no children, no spouse. She lives with her 75-year-old brother. And so I was the fortunate one who was blessed with figuring out where she's going to go and what she's going to do with her house. So, one of the things that I think is good is it doesn't have to be a year-long process. It can be 6 months. It can be, 90 days. It can do the Airbnb. But what's nice about it is having me and a company sort of handle everything, collect rent, work with the tenants and deal with maintenance and all of the things that somebody just doesn't want to deal with because they don't have the time. I mean, they already have enough to worry about, making sure that, mom or dad is in a good facility and making sure they're taken care of and, all of those things. So it just sort of alleviates that. And for the price of it, when it's done right, it can be very lucrative. And then in the event, it may work out and just do rentals on it and may turn into an investment property for a family member who isn't quite ready to, get rid of the house as well. And, different tax options and different things like that when it comes to inheritance taxes and things. So it's actually really nice, to have that. I know, Jim, you're the house that, the people just moved out of. I mean, it was probably great to have that occupied until you figured out what exactly, or what they want to do with it. So it's a good option.
Well, very good. So one of the things too, I was going to say, Tom, I'm going to pick on you for just a second, and this is something where a lot of the realtors might want to jump into this conversation. But reverse mortgage, I think most of us think we know what reverse mortgage is because Tom Selleck's told us about it. But I think very few people understand what the term, I guess, heck'em for purchase or reverse mortgage purchase is. And because I know I even talk within the real estate community and they all look at me like I'm nuts until they finally figure this out. This is one of the slickest things I've ever seen in my life. I would have killed to have had that opportunity when I was trying to move my in-laws down from Wabash, Indiana, where their house was worth $60,000 to Fishers, where it was going to take 120 to get anything remotely the same.
I moved one of my loan officers' families from South Bend to Fishers, exactly that same situation.
Yeah, but that would have solved my problem, because, they had a fixed income. There was no way they could handle that, a mortgage payment on top of that. And I think that their independent living would have lasted longer had they been closer to us where we could have helped out, but that's one of the places. And one of the things with the reverse mortgage, I see so many different opportunities. Someone was talking about a vacation in Florida. I think Jane, say you sell your house and you have some money, you've got a place and you downsize and get a smaller place and do half down. And then you take the rest of it and buy a place in Florida. Those, kind of tell us what you can do with that heck'em for purchase.
I lend money in Florida. And that's really not a bad idea at all. The thing with the reverse mortgage in that situation, the reverse mortgage has to be on the primary residence. So you have to decide where your primary residence is going to be. You can't have two primary residences.
Right.
So the reverse is on the primary residence. And there's nothing really stark about a reverse mortgage. It simply is a low loan to value loan that you don't have to make a payment on. So we all know, dealing with the retired community, when people are approaching retirement, they're pretty much done with income or asset accumulation. What they're interested in after retirement, going into retirement, is income. What do I have? How can I get more of it? How can I stretch what I've got? I'll give you two examples of reverse mortgage purchases that I did last year. One of them was to a fraternity brother of mine I've known for over 50 years. His situation was he had a house on Plum Creek Golf Course. He was concerned that he and his wife were not going to be able to continue to upkeep the house. So he decided to buy a property in Miller Walk, if you know where that is in Noblesville. It's a retirement community. It's a community designed for older people. At least it has that component. And their kids live up there. So it was the ideal place to go. So they sold a house. And I just sit there, they sold their house on Plum Creek for something like $400,000. And they bought a $300,000 house, low maintenance house in Miller's Walk. Well, their total investment in that house is $145,000. So they banked whatever the difference is, 260 some, difference between 4 and 145. So they banked that to produce income into income producing assets, their investment accounts. So now, not only do they not have a new payment on their house, they also have additional income. And they bought a house that was, a $300,000 house versus a $400,000 house. Still a very nice property. But that was one strategy. So to that, they made money on the sale of their house, used part of it for the down payment. They have no payments on the new house. They got additional money in the bank to earn income on. The second was maybe a little less fortunate situation. Lady on the south side had a smaller house in a declining neighborhood and needed to get out of it. She could only sell her house for so much money. She walked with about $150,000, and she couldn't find anything on the south side to meet her needs for $150,000. She thought she was a cash buyer. So what we did was we put her into a $300,000 house. She used $150,000 for the down payment, and now she lives in this nice, much nicer house, much nicer area, and still has no house payment. So the reverse mortgage is kind of an income. It's an income management tool. It allows you greater flexibility in increasing your income or your purchase of that last house.
I turned a friend of mine on. He was a Northwestern life insurance agent. His mom was in a condo, but she was paying $1,500 a month. She couldn't afford it on retirement, but she loved the place and didn't want to leave. So I ended up talking him into. She ended up having a little rental property she sold for $75,000. Rolled that into the reverse mortgage, to the reverse mortgage on her condo. Then got rid of all of her payments. He wrote her a long-term care insurance policy for like $300 a month. So her $1,500 a month went to $300 a month, and she can live there forever just by.
These are life-changing financial management tools for retiring people. And the biggest part of my job is just getting people to sit and listen to me.
Right.
I mean, and they don't have to just take it from me. There's tons and tons of information about reverse mortgage. ARP has pages and pages and pages on their website about reverse mortgages. But you just have to get somebody to think with you on how does it work for the situation you've got. That's where we start. Where are you? Where do you want to be? And how can we get you there? You got to know all those things before you can really start a meaningful conversation.
Well, one thing I want to spend a little time right now, I want to bring Jack and Matt into this conversation. And let's say the family decides they want to stay and age in that house, but they've got some situations where they need to make it safer for them or more convenient for them. Or maybe they're looking at with one of our agents here and they're going to downsize using, Tom to buy a downsized house in reverse, and they need to make that house user friendly. Could Jack and Matt, could you tell us what you can do to help make that safe? I know that Jack, you've got the designations on how to look at a house to make sure that it's safe too. So I'll let you guys weigh in on this one. Jack, you want to start?
Okay. Yeah. Really, a lot of people are just so worried about falling. Every 11 seconds, a senior gets admitted into the emergency room because they fell. And I've heard statistics that the number one cause of death for seniors is falling. Now, it might not be at that exact time, but it leads to complications and things happen and leads to death. So, that's something that elderly people are very scared of. When they look at new houses, every change is scary for them. So what I can do is I can help them relax. I can go into the house. I can walk through the house with them. I can show them what we can do. I can show them that, you'll still be able to get upstairs if you want. You'll still be able to get into this shower, into this tub. I'll help you through that. Really what I give is obviously accessibility, but a peace of mind so that they can relax and they can be, okay, all right, I don't have to worry about that. Now, do we like this house? And then it changes the whole perspective. They don't have to worry anymore. They can just enjoy the process now and say, okay, this is the house I like. Now, can we make it accessible? And I'll find a way to make it accessible for them.
Well, there's really lots and lots of ways in which you can do that, Jack. Through universal design, we learned things like replacing shower bars with grab bars, roll-in showers. If you're wheel bound, we put the garbage disposal switches on the edge of the counter as opposed to reaching over a deep counter, putting knee holes in counters if you're wheelchair bound. I even had a guy one time that said, I need accessibility into my house, but I hate those ugly ramps. He went out and got a guy to regrade his front yard up to the threshold of his front door so he could roll in with a little bump. There's
Well, I
tons
don't like
of
to
things
hear
you guys
that.
can do. Huh? What?
I'm just kidding. I said, I don't like to hear that.
Matt, do you have something you want to bring in on that?
Landscaping business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say to it other than no matter who you are, as you grow older, your needs are going to change. And there's lots of different ways for you to think about how you want to enjoy your time without ending up in the hospital. And whether it's fall prevention, or some other thing that you are particularly concerned about. Seems to me that what I run into most often is a lot of people are in denial. And then they get into a position where they're in denial about their growing older. Often they'll think that they need to move entirely to solve a problem that can be done much less expensively and allow you to stay where your neighbors are that can kind of look after you. I'm not saying don't sell your house if the time is right and the circumstances are right, but a lot of people choose to just, and people of means even choose to not make simple improvements to their home that they really should do. So whether you hire someone like us, or you hire someone like Jack, or you hire an occupational therapist, or you spend a little bit of time online researching, fall prevention strategies, I would just encourage people to do that. There are companies like myself and others that are out there that can make those home modifications and allow you to, stay safe longer. So I think we're all talking about kind of the same thing, is how do you help people enjoy, the twilight years, and all I would ask is that everybody remind people that denial is not a strategy. And that's really all I have to say about that, I suppose.
Well, good. Thank you. Well, Todd and Darren, I'm going to pick on both of you guys right now because you're in Todd, you're in multiple spaces. Okay. and Darren, you're in, we need to get rid of mom and dad's house. It hasn't been updated in 50 years. What can we do to, help me get this off my platter? I need to get money because Dave's shown me a place that we want to move them to, and we don't know, how in the world we're going to afford it, so I'm going to bring you guys in on this one.
Darren, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for us, and honestly, this panel's been actually very useful because, as house buyers, we don't buy 99% of the houses that we go into. So it's good to be able to say, hey, like we have this resource now where like, you don't need to sell your house. Like, why don't you just, talk to Matt over here and he can help you get the appropriate shower space or whatever. So like, this has been eye-opening for me in a lot of ways. But, going back to your question, Jim, it's really not always the houses that haven't been updated for us anyway. Like, it's not the houses that haven't been updated in 50 years. Like, we'll make those people an offer to buy their house. But a lot of times, I'm very honest, and I'll just say, hey, like, I really feel like you could sell this house on the market if you really try to. But, and again, now we're talking about potentially letting them or showing them how to do Airbnb. So like we've, you know, been connected with that resource, and I never even thought about offering that to, you know, whether it was a senior or anybody else that I had gone into their house to look at to buy. So that's a really cool option. We are looking to maintain some rentals ourselves, but you know, looking at it from an Airbnb perspective, again, like there's obviously a lot, as Jane said, there's a lot more income potential for that. So we could actually pay more for the house and give them the ability to, you know, put more money into the care or move into a different house or whatever their goal is.
Just to add, I would echo what Matt had said earlier. I think the first question for us is always, have you done everything you can do to age in place? I know I would want that. I think my parents would want that. So regardless of what our potential outcome is, helping them understand there are lots of things they've never thought of to help them age in place is number one with us. And then we put them through a litany of questions as the Halo Angel to figure out if us making an offer is their best option. And so it's only after a pretty extensive analysis of their whole situation, you know, mobility, family, their priorities, what the answers to their questions were about timing, all of that really folds into what are 2 or 3 good custom solutions for them. And so if and when that comes up and an offer on their house makes sense, we'll do that. And they can they can always manage the processes, and it goes as fast as they want or as slow as they want. We've had some clients be done in as fast as 2 weeks from the day we met them. And it was literally not just buy the house, but buy, close it, and move them to the next place. We've also had, I think our longest one was 18 months. Now, we don't want 18 months, but we get it. You know, some of these clients are really at the front end of just trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong for them. So there's no time constraint with our solution. And so, but it is fortunately for all of us and the likes of Darren, it's a good time to sell. So we do quite often try and counsel them out of letting us buy it, just because you can almost, you know, walk out of the sidewalk in our market and say, I'm ready, and somebody will buy it. So we just really try and hone in on what is most important for them.
Excellent. Well, let's say, for instance, that we've decided that mom or dad need to downsize. They need to move. They need to move into assisted living or whatever. So I'm going to bring Dave and Kim in on this one. So Dave, you know, someone finally decides, you know, we may keep our house as a rental, we may turn it into an Airbnb, but mom and dad need more help. So could you come in and kind of tell that process of what you can do and how you help someone understand what their options are and get them through that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was how I got into this. My background's landscaping, but we went through it with my father-in-law with dementia. And
so you could have fixed that ramp thing.
What's that?
I said you could have fixed that ramp thing. But anyway, yeah.
Still don't like hearing that.
So I had, you know, personal experience with that, of just the stress of, you know, not being proactive and knowing what options are out there. So I will work with the family. Oops, sorry about that. Understand what's out there in the market, what they're looking for. I'm kind of like a senior living realtor in that sense, that it's not just as simple as, oh, you want to be west of Meridian, but you want to spend this much. Here's your options. I really work with the families to understand care level needs, what are the long-term plans, as well as, you know, what activities are important to the family member. What are they looking for? What is the acuity that they're currently in? If it's memory care, what is the high and low functioning of those residents of that community, and really help them understand what their options are. I provide recommendations for them. I go on the tours with them, and eventually just help them make a decision. It's no cost to the family. I get paid a referral fee from the community that they choose. I'm there to be a resource and make sure that when they do make this transition, they're making it much more educated and informed than without me.
We have a lot of realtors on this particular panel, and we're talking about real estate today. You and I have talked about this before. You're very much like a buyer's agent in working with the senior communities in the world, for the real estate world. Is that correct? I mean, they're not paying you to do this.
No, no. And I think Todd said it earlier, whether it's, 4-week or, 4-month or 14-month sales cycle, I want them to be proactive about it, so they're not stressed and overwhelmed. There's nothing worse than saying, mom fell and she can't go home. Where do we go? Where do we start? It's really, really stressful. So if I can avoid that by having some conversations early, that's why I do what I do.
Well, Kim, I'm going to bring you in on this. Coming from my background in real estate, dealing with my own aging family members and what have you, one of the things that I find that becomes a big sticking point is, yes, I need to make a move. I need to have Dave help me find a place. I need to do whatever, but oh my God, I've got 50 years of accumulation here. It's overwhelming. I just am going to go into my shell and go, la, 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 I don't want to hear about it anymore. How do you, at Carry Transitions, what do you do to help people get past that?
So we do a lot of things. We kind of customize everything we do. No job's the same, but we have a lot of clients that their aunt, we just did one, the aunt passed away and the nephew was in another state and he was the executor of the estate and he had no idea what to do. I mean, he was far away, he was overwhelmed. So he hired us and we were able to go in and sort and organize everything and make him a lot of money with selling stuff. And he was just as pleased as can be. So we kind of come in and we are not emotionally charged with everything like the clients are, so that we're able to deal with the stuff a lot better. When I went through it myself, I would have paid all the money in the world to have someone handle the stuff for me, because the stuff is so much when you're dealing with this. So we just go in and deal with the stuff, whatever we have to do. If it means that we have to move someone from an apartment to another apartment and the person has dementia and we want the new apartment to look just like the old apartment, we do that. We do whatever it takes.
I know one of the deals that you guys did that I thought was good. You had a realtor this was a couple that was just doing the kids are in college and they're moving a downsize. So it wasn't an elderly situation.
Yes.
But they had clutter in their garage. They had a basement room full of clutter and they had a junk room upstairs that needed to be cleaned out. So Carrying Transitions went in and
yeah, guys, people downsizing, these people that Jim's talking about, they took the stuff they wanted to their new house and we took care of the rest. They didn't have to worry about it. The house was cleaned out at the end and they, were able to sell it, and they didn't have to spend time trying to sell stuff or trying to move stuff. We took care of it. So they were so relieved and so happy that they didn't have to do it, because it's a lot, especially with moving and everything else. It's just, it's stressful.
I've got all my realtor professionals in here. How much do you charge, Kim? That's a question that came up.
How much do I charge?
Yeah.
That's a you question.
Yeah. Well, it is, as far as Deborah, get a hold of Kim. We'll put contact information on here. And what we need to do is take a look at your property, because we have no idea till we see and know what the scope of work is. It could be, I just was talking to a client on clean outs. And it was, it couldn't be further apart as far as the prices. One of them was like $1,700 and one was a 10,000 square foot hoarder situation. So it's like 25,000. So I have no idea. We have to look at it. It's what
it's based on square foot and density. Yeah. And the way the estate sales work is we have a minimum that they have to make, and that's basically what it costs us for employees to go in there to sort and organize and set it up very nice, like a boutique. And once that minimum's met, then we have a split that we do. And then they are able to take the proceeds from that. And then at the end, if they wish, we could do a clean out, get rid of everything. They have a nice empty clean house at the end.
Going back to I've got I think I got 4 realtors here. So let me ask you guys a question. 5 realtors. what is the biggest challenges that you're seeing when you're walking into that person's home? They're overwhelmed. They know they have this stuff. What kind of things can you bring to them to help them with this process? And I don't really care who starts. Well, I do care if somebody starts. These.
I'll start. One of the things that keeps rolling in my mind, and I've had a lot of success with it, and it's just telling the client, maybe they don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're just starting that conversation with me. And the one thing that I have been able to really open up the conversation with is it is easier to move on your terms when you're still able than to wait so long that it's going to be up to your child or your sister or what have you. So when they're questioning what they could do or this or that, I try, especially if they have all their faculties and maybe they feel like they're in denial, to just really have that candid conversation with them about, listen, do you want to do this or do you want it done to you? Because done to you is so much more painful emotionally, I think, because they're giving up their control. So that's something I have observed over the last 20 years.
That's exactly the conversation I had with my parents. I was like, do you want this to all be your choice and on your timeline, or we're going to have to come here and just do it? And I think that makes all the difference, Jane, for sure. And I think the thing for me is just acknowledging that it's a grieving process for them. It's a loss of memories, a loss of their life in some ways. And just being cognizant of that is, because you can get caught up in the business or the time frame or the urgency, but in the end, it's really about, it's a change and it's a grieving time for them and for their kids sometimes. I mean, I've had them say, oh, I hate coming in this house, or, I get a knot in my stomach when I come in this house. Sometimes it's just hard on the whole family. And I think part of our role, not only in moving them, is helping them adjust in their thoughts and just acknowledging that this was where they raised their family or that kind of thing. And I think I just always try to be really cognizant of that. And the fact, we're all gonna get there. So
the expert.
I want to be treated in that way. I want to be treated with dignity and honoring my memories. So that's what I think is really vital.
Todd, I'm actually envious. I think I've had several clients that took 4 years to make the move. 18 months is chump change.
Come along at 18 months. No.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to do a quick screen share. And when I come back, if anybody has one more thing you really want to say that you guys, you have on your chest, you want to get out, I'll give it to the floor to you. But let's do a real quick review of upcoming events. So if you go to Life's Copilot has always got these events, these classes or these panels are always outstanding. I just get to sit here and learn from all you guys. It's awesome. I just love it. But we go to the events section here. If I can get it to open. What's wrong with my? Okay, here we go. This is the one we just did. One coming up on the 11th, I'm very excited about. It's going to be an expert panel on Parkinson's. We have Kim Williams with Indiana Parkinson's Foundation, Christina Timberlake with Rocksteady Boxing, and Julie Ellen Rademacher with a clinical association professor with IU. She does a lot of things with speech therapy. Terry Weymouth. I didn't put all of her titles and her associations down here. She's pretty impressive. Kim's the one that turned me on to her. And then Jesse Hillick with the Memory Compass. So we have, upcoming events coming up here. So there's more coming, but that's the next one. So anyway, anybody else has a final thought or that you'd like to share with people?
If you would like to learn more about reverse mortgages, just call me. We'll have a conversation.
Excellent. Anybody else? Well, guys, it's been an hour. I can't believe it. They always go so fast. What a great panel tonight. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. So see you the next time.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
All right,
Jim.
see ya.